the entrance to the village hall. This is the village hall. The village hall extends down onto the path that runs past it, and this is the suggested area where we need to create some form of on-site initial interpretation. This building is about 60 foot. As you can see on the outside there's a seating area, and there's also a play area that's been funded by the National Lottery. This looks like a thoroughfare of a road coming through it, so it may be that the visitor experience bit needs to be on this standing pathway here, and the width of the pathway from the side of the building to the end of this, you would say, is roughly at this point here it's 3.7. At this point here, at this point, slightly longer than 390 at this point. So to give some understanding of the height of this building, Caroline is 5'6". The other interesting thing about this site is we have no idea beyond the village hall where the experience starts currently. So we don't know whether we're climbing that hill up there or we're walking along this path here, which would be my favourite thing, towards the silvery fence. Clearly there's a road as well, and you might sensibly walk down that, if that indeed was the tram car that's now been tarmacked up. This is the side of the building, an entrance into the car park out the front. You'll note that there are some houses just behind this thing, something that says no changing in the car park, and a reasonable car park with some I suppose a little spot of overflow, but nothing to cater for masses and masses of tourists really. This is the entrance here into the village hall, and when you look at that, probably when we build something that's beginning in the experience, then that needs to be integrated into it, because there's a cafe in there and we won't want to deprive people from coming into that. Mobile signal on here on EE is poor. I've got one little dot. I certainly do not have anything that is a 4G, 3G, anything like that.
Visitors have been encouraged to come to car park, right, which is on the other side of the river over there.
Right.
If you've got enough daylight, I'll run you over there after we've been up here.
Okay.
One of our challenges in this area is lack of car parking.
Yes.
So we're going to be encouraging visitors to go from that side of the valley across to here, and we want to create a really warm sense of welcome when they get to the village hall.
Okay.
So the challenge there is that it's closed Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
So we're looking at creating an exterior welcome, possibly looking at seating, so people can have their picnics.
Yeah.
And something that starts to talk about the gunpowder works, the fact that that building was actually part of it.
Yeah.
That was the old saltpeter store.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I brought my gunpowder Bible with you.
Fantastic, thank you very much.
You need a very vivid imagination for this. Okay, here we go. This is what you're effectively looking at now. So the building over there, Hollybush Cottage, is this building that's depicted on this archive image here.
So let's take some pictures of that, Caroline, so that when we're,
So there's very few surviving buildings left, and that is the big challenge, is when visitors come here, is trying to communicate what this site used to be.
Okay. Yes.
So we're walking
Yeah, so
on.
we're trying to look to bring it alive, aren't we, really?
We are, but sensitively as well.
Yes.
A lot of visitors come here just for the.
Yeah, they want to
The
come and
breathing
admire the
space,
natural
peaceful
beauty and
waters,
all the rest of
exactly.
it. So in an ideal world, doing this in a virtual or augmented reality world is probably
That's one of
really,
the
really,
options.
really, could be a really, really good way of
Yes.
doing this, with perhaps then some very discreet signage
Yes.
that sort of just indicates that, hold on a minute, this could be done.
There's a bit more to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I just ask, and I know that in the documentation that you put together, then you'd mentioned, in terms of network coverage and,
Yes.
and that sort of thing. I'm going to get killed by you, just hold on a minute, yeah. Can I just ask, in terms of that, in terms of getting some form of internet presence
Yes.
here,
Yes.
I've got EE, and EE doesn't give me that at that point there.
Right.
Do any of the other networks give you that at that
EE
point
is
there?
normally the best. Normally I've got 3 or 4G connection right up until the middle bridge. As I was just trying to text you to say I was running late, it's not here, so it's not reliable. Your best bet for having internet access would be a Wi-Fi connection point hub in the village hall. I don't know if there is one yet. That's one of the questions I've been asked today that I'm going to find out and put on.
And is that something that if you got there, that could be on permanent?
That's something we could look into.
Because
yes. There would be ongoing costs for that, wouldn't there? And there's a business running in there.
There would be possibly ongoing costs for that.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that in terms of doing what you want this thing to do, there are lots of mechanisms that once they have something on their tablet, we can then create experiences without the need for any further internet access in any way, shape or form. So there are, I know you probably know this because you're putting together websites for the Interpretation Heritage Association and all of that sort of thing, aren't you? So, but the opportunity here to use near-field devices and bury them and hide them is probably the way forward.
Okay, but if we can have some live experiences, some way they can share selfies or share the experience. If they can't do it during, then I guess they will be able to do it when they get back to the village hall.
I think the thing about an augmented reality solution that happens on a tablet or a phone is that if they've all got that app to begin with when they start at the very beginning, then they can all experience that fired by a near-field device without the randomness of any connection, that could then link back to a website eventually. Doing AR on a website, there are people promising it, but realistically the technology ain't there.
When the gunpowder factory was working, there's a nice stone at the front which has C and H on it, which stands for Curtis and Harvey,
Right.
which is the second company that ran the works.
Right.
So these 3 buildings that you've seen are the best preserved of the former site. Everything else that we're going to see
Is a complete
is
ruin.
A wreck. Yeah, like one's got the roof on. So they were making gunpowder here from about 1857 to about 1930. And the works were deliberately destroyed in 1931 to get rid of any
explosive materials, really, yeah.
And part of the wider project, beyond the scope of what you're tendering for, is to remove a lot of the trees that have fallen down and those that are within strike distance of the monuments, and also consolidation of a lot of the buildings. We're not planning to rebuild anything, but we're planning to consolidate and preserve what's left.
Okay.
Exactly.
And we're not sure whether we're removing this or not, really,
No,
to be
I mean,
perfectly
it's
honest.
fairly harmless. It talks, about the river life.
Okay. It's not, and this isn't but this isn't a stopping point
It's
or a
not
pondering
stopping point. It's certainly something I wouldn't know.
Okay, fine.
Someone sensibly rebranded.
This is a stopping point. There's a set of stairs that you go down, which you wouldn't necessarily expect to do. So you might sensibly walk straight past this, and it's the only building apparently that we can get into. Oh, mind your head. Heavens above. Yes, we can't see anything in here at all.
Nice term,
Yeah.
and it denotes the fact it responds very quickly to rainfall.
Right,
so
okay.
on Monday, when we had tremendous rainfall, the river was really, really high.
Right.
And it also denotes the power of its very fast-moving river.
Yeah.
So the entire site was located here, firstly for the isolation, secondly for the supply of charcoal, and thirdly for the power of the river.
Right.
So you can talk about the role of the river.
And from an educational perspective, this is renewable energy.
But saying
So-
that, when the vegetation is cleared off of these,
Then
might
they'll become a bit more. Yeah.
a bit more attractive
Yeah.
than they are now.
So this is a press house, and not a stopping point nor a place to ponder.
That's quite an interesting point. The whole site, we've got 9 bat species down here as well. So visitors will very much want to know all about that.
Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of having your people telling us the story,
Yes.
digitally and otherwise as they walk through here, has that always been the case in terms of wildlife? So might one of those workers have encountered a couple of bats on their way back from work, or
Quite possibly, yes, and that could be quite a nice way to link the two stories.
yeah?
Yeah.
Because you sort of want something that holds itself all together
Yes.
and actually could be promoted as, this is pick your tour guide, and your tour guide is not just going to be, we'll tell you about the nature as well as we'll tell you about everything else as well.
It's like, I don't know whether you've been to the SS Great Britain in Bristol, but years ago that won the Gulbenkian Prize.
Right, okay.
And when you went on the ship, you could choose whether you had a tour as the cat's the ship's cat,
Yes.
whether you had a steerage, passenger, or first class.
Yes.
And that was one way that they managed to do that.
Yes.
So this could be it's a tunnel. So when the factory was working, the tramway that you see in front of us wasn't in fact here. What they did to get round this corner was to actually build a tunnel into this wall. You can see it depicted on the map, and it came out further down the site. So the horses
Okay.
and the drams would have gone through that tunnel. Yeah. Actually, the path is a more modern addition.
So this is a stopping place. At this point, all the horses and the workers turn left and disappear into the tunnel. This is where we think the tunnel emerges. And again, we could hide an near field device up there. And sorry, you're saying that there's a press
Just this
press
building here
house.
is a pellet press house, and there's lovely detail on the map which says with lamp brackets outside. So this map has got a lot of character in it. It was actually created when Noble Industries ran the site.
Right.
Further down here you've got, like, for example, water wheel, lovely one, pleasure to see working. So there's lots of really nice detail in this map, which again is very inspirational.
So again, another stopping place.
I don't think so. No, not significant enough.
Okay, not a stopping place, but
Class of leaves and corn was part of the manufacturing process, and I've got a few here. I've been organised enough to print off one of the archive images. And what's quite interesting is that if you move on a little bit, there's only 3 solid walls, and so the 4th wall would have been the scapegoat. So if there was an explosion, the explosion would have come out this way.
right, yes,
And left the rest of the building intact.
intact.
And that's something again that you see in some of the the other buildings through the site. And it would have been very dangerous to walk in front of these buildings, so quite often they had paths that went around the back. But again, this will look hopefully completely different by the time the stonework trees are removed. And the building conservationists will probably have to take this back down to the ground and then rebuild it using the stones, put them all back in exactly the same places, certainly for this leaning wall. So
And what's the time scale on that?
the building conservation work is starting, it's either March or April. It was supposed to start before Christmas, but a lot of the permissions that we required from NRW have taken significantly longer,
Okay.
which was why I was slightly hesitant with your comment earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
Because as you can imagine, you've got bats here, you've got mosses, you've got
Yeah.
lichens growing on the structures themselves.
Yeah.
So although you might be conserving the building, you might be destroying a recent habitat in doing
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
it's a complex site. Pieces of slab powder were reduced to grains by crushing and sieving. So I'd imagine if you're aggregating the gunpowder in that way, there's the risk of explosion.
This is a stopping point and could be a very good stopping point on the way back. And the front of this building would blow in the event of an explosion. Are we able to get visitors to run for their lives as this thing goes up in smoke?
This is
Do
the best
people on
example.
tour come back this way?
Yes.
So
the
they
linear
walk
route.
out and they walk back
They
again?
do, yes. Remember the first bridge that we saw? There is an option to walk on the other side of the river and emerge just up here, but we don't tend to promote the path because it's quite muddy and it's not.
People are jumping off this top of this rock,
They are.
and then where do they disappear? They just swim swim up
Trying
river,
to
or
remember
they
when
disappear
they
off?
have. Good question. Oh, that's right. I think you scramble up by the other side of the weir on the right hand side from memory. and swim
Okay.
across.
So they step up from there,
Yes.
swim across, and
And then
disappear,
exit over there.
and
Yes.
exit over this way.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
So this
Okay.
is one of the other entrances to the site. People can come down the slope into the site. So I'm quite keen at looking at some sort of entrance signage.
So this is easterly entrance to the site,
Exactly.
and this is the point where we need some signage here that
Say
also
welcome.
says welcome to
Yes.
the.
Yeah.
And a great place to put that is probably the end of this bridge. And again, probably what needs to be spectacular, but also needs to be in keeping with the heritage of the site and the SSI nature of it
And
and all
natural,
the rest of it.
NRW own that land, so again, even more sensitive.
Okay, so we need to engage NRW.
You can just see a bit of the old trough down there that used to carry some water. It's a little bit of a remnant over there.
Oh yes.
There's a couple of bits.
And is this a place to ponder as well as a place to...
I think it has to be because people will naturally, as we're doing, ponder, look at
Yeah.
things, watch the activity providers. It's a naturally nice place to stop.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it would make sense.
Okay. And in terms of the bridge here,
Yeah.
yeah, you probably don't want any sort of seating or anything like that on the bridge, do you? Because
Probably not on the bridge.
but you
as
need
Caroline
over
says,
here, yeah. And this looks like an exciting building as well.
I think it's the first time most people realise they're at an industrial
Or
site.
site.
Yes. It's the new Corning House, and it was built in the 1920s, shortly before the site closed, actually.
Okay.
But the acoustics inside are quite interesting because you actually escape the noise of the river for one of the first times on the entire walk.
Yeah. So the flooring here looks boggy, but we do believe that there is a hard standing here where we could see putting in some benches here. And this area here where all the Corning works might work virtually as well. And it's great, particularly if you wanted to tell a story on a mobile, because you can't hear the river at all. Yeah, I am now ready.
It is, isn't it? And this don't know if we know any more than it being a magazine. There might not be sufficient information to tell at this point. But again, you've got here the abutments for the aerial leak, which would have gone
So the aerial leak continues over the top of this magazine. Okay. Have we got any feel for how long this aerial leak was?
Yes, we know exactly the step in the manufacturing process. I imagine this will look completely different when a lot of vegetation is removed. At the moment it does look quite scary and deep and somewhere that you wouldn't want to encourage people to.
No.
Not throwing a party to 5-year-olds. No.
So is this glazing house another stopping place then?
I don't think so.
No,
I think
okay.
further down here where we've got a stove house, I believe.
This is the dusting house. Another place to stop? Not really.
I don't think so. I think it's more interesting down at the stove house down here.
Okay. The actual building on this ran from that chimney over there
And there's an
down
underground
through
flue
into
which
here, and
comes
there's an
out
underground
through
flue.
One of those holes, and you can actually trace it down. I wouldn't recommend climbing up there. I've done it once. I wouldn't do it again. Yes, an underground flue which comes down to this building.
Okay.
So this is where they would have dried out the gunpowder prior to packing.
Okay. And does this look like it's been maintained? And it's the scaffolding, and that makes me want to. That makes me want to get inside that. Although you don't see the chimney flue, but they buried the flue in there to so this is the stopping point. So our digital tour and possibly some signage needs to turn people around at this point. And what's happening here?
This is the aqueduct. So the top weir that you can't see, the water would come off that weir,
right,
over this aqueduct and follow this leat, which is this big ditch
right,
behind
okay.
me. And this leat would then feed into the aerial leats that we saw earlier.
Okay, so this is top of the leat.
Yeah.
Caroline, can you just get a picture up here for me, so that we can see that this is the stopping bit, because the GoPro isn't fantastic in low light. So this is possibly our second
There's
pondering
plenty to say
point.
here about the leaks and the aqueduct.
So lots to say about the Leat and the aqueduct. And in terms of, you'd sit and paint that, wouldn't you, or photograph that, or would you want a bench or something here, or a...
Certainly if this area was cleared, that might be more suitable. But I mean, the site did continue for about another half a mile up on the other bank. So it's the whole story that strange visitors got to whenever it happens.
So this could be a pondering area here. So, place to ponder is here. You might need to take a picture of this, Caroline, because again, low light.
From the other side.
I'm getting Suzanne's hat and that's about it.